Good evening, everyone. It is Tuesday, November 1st, 2022. Welcome to the Keeping It Real Conversation Show with your host, Camila, aka Sunshine. We are live on the Facebook channel. Of course, I have opened it up so everybody can like, share, and subscribe. We are live on the YouTube channel. Of course, it's the same name as the show. We are live on Twitch, Twitter. Just find us somewhere. We're live somewhere right now. Again, I believe in 6 degrees of separation. You're literally one person away, one advice away from where you need to be in your destiny. It has been proven over and over again since I started this show 2 years ago. And we have been going strong ever since. This evening, it is my pleasure, my wonderful pleasure, to not only always go back to my village, where I come from, my stomping grounds, and we'll get into that. But I'm excited to have her. I saw a post, and once I saw that, I immediately reached out to her like, you got to come on the show. So we're going to get into our guest bio. And then I'm going to let you know how I know her. And then we're going to get into this wonderful conversation. So for all those who are on, please like, share, and subscribe so we can get this audience up. This is something you do not want to miss. Everybody that you know, you do not want to miss this. I promise you, it is a treat. So this evening, my guest is Judge. That is in the front. Judge Christina Kennedy is a newly appointed judge on the 36th District Court. Prior to her appointment to the bench, Judge Kennedy served as a senior assistant corporation counsel with the City of Detroit Law Department. There, she represented the city in defense of civil lawsuits. She also served as a liaison to the Detroit City Council, as well as general counsel to the Detroit Board of Ethics. Prior to working for the city of Detroit, Judge Kennedy maintained a solo law practice for approximately 8 years. Judge Kennedy graduated from that school, that is Michigan State University, College of Law, that's a whole different subject, and Wayne State University and Osborne High School. She lives in Detroit currently with her husband and her children. So tonight, I want you to welcome to the show Judge Christina Kennedy to the show.
Thank you for having me. Hey, how are you?
I am blessed and highly favored, and I'm excited for you to be here. It is good to actually see a familiar face, and that's the part that I love the most. When I can hush up, Sherry talking about some go green, get out of here. Anyway, we're not about to go into that conversation, not at all. So again, I'm excited to go back down memory lane and see that Detroit Public Schools is still putting out some wonderful people in this world who are doing it big.
I am DPS.
Right. Not only that, but the city of Detroit. And on top of that, law.
That's
so
right.
Let's get into this conversation. Now, I want y'all to know, for some odd reason, I don't know why she was nervous, but I have no idea why. I'm going to tell her today, I'm going to give you your flowers. So sometimes we don't understand, or the biggest thing is we don't understand that our life is not our own. We don't understand that the steps that we take in life is not about us. It's about the people behind us, that's coming behind us, or those who are around us at the immediate time. In Osborne, that particular year when we stepped foot on Osborne campus in 1992, freshly graduated from middle school, going into high school, had no idea really clue how this thing was going to go. I just assumed because of the things that I saw on TV, this is how high school was going to be.
Right.
But this particular year, 1992, Laura F. Osborne had a big induction of students, and we were intelligent. It was so to the point that they were talking about making Osborne a magnet school because of the many students that came that were off the charts in intellect. Just that year by itself.
I think I remember that. You're going way back.
Listen.
Way back. But I think I do remember that. Yeah.
So then the other thing was they tried to group us all together to stay together with each other for the whole 4 years that we were in high school. But one thing about Christina, I don't recall, I might have had maybe 1 or 2 class with her, but she was, if I'm not mistaken, a cheerleader, right?
I was. And you were on the basketball team, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we were always around each other.
We would see each other in the athletic corridor.
Yes.
Yeah.
We stayed down there a lot. Mm-hmm. So
all the time.
There are bonds that we have developed, even though we didn't really speak like that. I know who she was. She knew who I was. But even to this day, 20-some years later, I know and I can remember literally seeing her walk the aisles, when they was getting ready for the basketball games or whatever she had to do. I remember the uniform. I remember how we were dedicated to our teams. And you're still doing it to this day.
And we cheered for the girls basketball team a couple of times too.
Absolutely. So I wanted to give you your flowers that even though in those years we didn't know fully what we were going to become, I remember you.
Thank you. And I remember you as well. And I want to give you your flowers for living out a dream. You know, a lot of people have dreams of doing what you're doing, but don't know how to go about doing it. So I want to give you your flowers as well and congratulate you for hosting a show for 2 years. That's awesome. It's amazing, actually.
Wow.
So congratulations on that. And thank you for having me.
You are so welcome.
As nervous as I am,
you got
I am honored that you invited me to be here tonight.
I saw a post in, I believe, our Osborne alumni Facebook page. And when I saw it, I said immediately, I am about the connections. I am about giving people flowers. And I'm out for everyone to know that Detroit is putting out some awesome people. And you need to know who they are. So now that we know that she is a judge at the 34th District Court,
36
District Court. And she graduated from that school that I'm not going to keep saying. But however, let's go back. So are you a first generation college student, or was that already in your home?
Well, I have working class parents. My dad was a boiler operator by trade. My mom's a nurse. So no, Okay, so my mother went to school while I was a child. So I saw her going back to school. She was, I think, what do you call them? An LPN, I think,
Okay.
before I was born. And then when I was about 5 years old, she went back to school to be an RN. So in that sense, yes, she did graduate from college, but she did not take the traditional route. You know, she went and got her associates, and she did that while I was, coming up,
Mm-hmm.
elementary, middle school type, around that time. So
Mm-hmm.
but as far as first generation 4-year university, I think so. Yeah, I do think so. Yes.
So we find out that we have more in common than until we have a conversation. So my mom did the same thing. My mom, I don't remember her being LPN, but she was in school for
Mhm.
nursing, RN, and she was an RN nurse for 20 something years.
Okay.
Um, and my dad switched off. He became a head of a security company, and once my dad got sick, my mom had to take care of him as well as still um, be a nurse. So, with that being said, with the idea of, so where did the idea of becoming a lawyer came from?
You know what? I think I really think that it has always been there, just under the brim, like just kind of like simmering underneath the surface. I think I had debate. What middle school did you go to? Did you go to Barber?
I went to
Okay.
Rosa Parks.
Oh, okay. So I went to Barber Magnet Middle School, and we had a debate team. I was on the debate team back in the 7th grade, and that's where I was introduced to, arguing points, right? And that's what lawyers do. So that was the first time that I was introduced to that. And even back then, I think maybe I thought about it for a second, but then you go through life, you go through school. I wanted to be a lot of different things. But between the 7th grade and the 12th grade, there were lots of different things that I wanted to explore, lots of different careers that I thought maybe I would be interested in. I graduated from Wayne State. I got my degree from Wayne State, a bachelor's of science in business administration. And so when I graduated, I went to work for a bank for a year and a half. So I worked at Comerica Bank for about a year and a half. I didn't really have interaction with people. It was in the like I said, my major was finance, so I worked in like trusts, trust estates, trust accounting actually. And I realized shortly after working there, after starting working there, that I wanted to work more with people because I work behind the scenes. And I've always been an avid reader. Um, I I like writing, and those are things that skills that you can have and use towards being a lawyer. And I do not tell many people this story, and I don't know if I should tell you this story, but I actually was at a college party when I decided I was going to go to law school. I was at a party and this guy tried to talk to me, he tried to get my phone number. And we were talking, and he was like, bragging on what he was doing, like, oh yeah, I'm about to register to take the LSAT. The LSAT is the class is the test that you have to take in order to apply to law schools. And he was talking about how he was gonna take the LSAT, and he hit register for this LSAT prep class. And just in that moment, it just came to me like, you know what? I'm going to law school too. You're going to law school, so am I. And based on that, the next day I registered for an LSAT prep class. I took the LSAT. I did well enough to get a scholarship to that school,
Mm-hmm.
as you call it. And the rest is history. Like I said, it's always been kind of just brimming underneath the surface, but um, I guess the stars and the moon were aligned that night, and I decided that I was going to go to law school. It was just kind of like a split-second decision. And once I make up my mind to do something, though, I'm tunnel vision until I do it. So That's how I ended up going to law school.
So, just to educate the people, how long is actual law school?
So if you go through the traditional program, it's 3 years. If and that's full time. Um, you take what are the classes? That was a long time ago too. Now, you take the first semester. You take contract law, torts law. Torts is basically when somebody sues someone else, for money for some kind of damages. Um, Personal injury, that's like a tort,
Yes.
right? Say you fall
Okay.
down on the sidewalk, and you want to sue the homeowner, or somebody a doctor didn't do what he was supposed to do and you want to sue him for malpractice. That's torts. So
Okay.
the first semester you take contract law, torts law, civil procedure, criminal law, and one more. Let's see, I still got my books on the wall. Maybe research and writing, I don't know. And then the second semester you take property law, constitutional law, criminal law. No, criminal law is the first semester, criminal procedure is the second semester, another semester of researching and writing. And then that's the first year. And then the second and third year is when you explore electives. So that is the traditional law school path. 3 years it should take. But there are a lot of people who are full-time, um, work full-time and have families, and have to carry a job, and so those students are part-time, and I think that can take anywhere between 4 to 5 years to finish if you're carrying a part-time load. But I
Okay.
did it the traditional way. I went straight through for 3 years.
So how was you see all these movies where they with law and different ones that it could be very stressful.
That's
Um
true.
so did you experience those moments of am I really sure I really want to go through with this or
So I the stressful part about law school is that you only have one exam. That's the stressful part. The studying can get stressful because they have what's called the Socratic method in law school. And basically, what that is you don't know when the professor is going to call on you, right? So you have to be prepared every class. You need to have read every case, every lesson, because the professor is going to randomly call on people and question them using the Socratic method. And that is just basically rapid fire questions, just kind of putting you on the spot, right? That's what the Socratic method is I think designed to do, is designed to put you on the spot and give you the ability to think on your feet, or to develop the ability to think on your feet. And that does stress a lot of people out. A lot of people don't like public speaking, or just speaking in front of a group of, I think there were like maybe 80 people in my class. I don't know. It's been a while. But that is stressful, because you do need to be prepared every class, right? And then, like I said, the other thing is you don't know how you're doing in the class until the very end of the semester when you take the one exam. So I knew people that were brilliant, just it's very smart, had a very strong grasp of the subject matter, but on exam day freaked out and just like couldn't do it. I mean, I remember this guy. He was the nicest guy. He was very smart, but just the stress of taking those exams completely, um, it just really got to him, to the point where he dropped out of law school. Like, he made the decision on exam day that he couldn't handle it, and he dropped out of law school, right? He came back, I guess, over the break. He had he thought about it, And I guess he talked to the administrators and he came back, but ultimately he dropped out again. But not because that's not a testament to his intelligence, because he was very smart, very nice guy, but some people just can't handle I guess the unknown, right? So yes, it can be very stressful for some. It was stressful for me, but not to the point where I couldn't handle it.
Okay.
Hmm.
So, okay, so once you take your, final exam, and where does it come in where you decide what type of law you want to pursue?
Well, like I said, though, that first year you get the basics. Those the second and third years when you get to weave in, electives. You do what's called, some people actually go and do, they're not called work study. You gotta forgive me, Camila. It's been so long that that language is completely gone out of my head.
Right.
But they go and work, for credit, at different different entities, maybe at the prosecutor's office, or maybe for like um legal aid, maybe
Yeah.
a nonprofit, just different entities that offer internships and
Hmm.
offer credit for work. So you can utilize that opportunity to kind of weed out the kinds of law that you want to practice. And then a lot of times it's just who hires you first, right?
Right.
When I graduated from law school, I took the bar. I graduated in May, and I took the bar in July, and I had to wait until October for my bar results to find out whether I had passed or not. And I was not one of the lucky law students to get a law firm job like straight out of law school, because you have to be at the top of the class, and you have to just really be a gunner to get those law firm jobs. They pay well, but they require a lot of time commitment as well. And so I didn't have like a law firm job waiting on me when I got out of law school. So I substitute taught in between the time that I was waiting on my bar results and the time that I'm sorry, in between the time that I took my bar exam and the time that I got my bar results. I was a substitute teacher. And
Hmm.
then I went to work for a judge. Um, he was a family law judge, and I worked for him for about a year and a half, and that's where I just kind of gained that's the area of expertise that I gained, because I was working for this family law judge, and so I knew how to handle family law matters. And when I went out on my own, because I did that after working for that judge for about a year and a half, I didn't necessarily want to be a family law judge, but because that's what I knew and people knew that I knew, that's the kind of um those are the kind of cases that came to me. So it just kind of um it depends, it depends on where you start out. A lot of times where you start out is where you'll be because that's just the area of expertise that you gain. And
Hmm.
so with me, I did not want to practice family law, and so I had to make an effort, like a really big effort, to move out of that area of the law and then go into something else.
Okay.
Hmm.
So, it said that you had your own practice,
Right.
and the whole time that you had your practice, did you stick with the family, or like say you did 2 years of family practice and then went into something else?
So again, that's what I knew. Like I knew that like the back of my hand, because I worked for a judge for a year and a half, and I saw everything that you could possibly imagine come through the courtroom. So even though I tried to get away from it, um I never fully got away from family law. I would tell people, "Oh, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing any more divorces. It's ugly. Oh, I'm tired. Oh, I hate custody cases." But again, I was very good at it because that's what I knew. And so even though that's what I initially started off in, and then I ventured into criminal law. criminal defense, and the majority of my practice once I built it up was in criminal defense, but I always would get the divorce here and there, or the, oh, I'm having a custody issue, or my baby mama won't let me see my kids, can you help me, that kind of thing. So I never fully got away from it, and actually even just up until the time where I accepted the judge position, I still was getting family law questions. I always get family law questions because that's where I started, and that's what people know me to do. So,
Wow.
yep.
And the reason why I'm asking a certain line of questions is because I want people to understand that we have no excuses. I don't care if you came from the worst neighborhoods, um, whatever you put your mind to, and I'm sure you had a village behind you saying, "Look, you can do this. We're not accepting nothing less." Um, you can achieve whatever you want, whatever. No matter the school that you have chosen, we're not gonna talk about that school either.
Oh.
Again, um, just being able to come out on top. Again, we don't get a lot of accolades for the things that sometimes we have to go through as being a trailblazer. Are you the only lawyer in your family?
In my immediate family, yes, but I do have some lawyers. But I have a very, very large family. My grandmother had 12 siblings, and they were all very close knit. So from those 12 siblings, you can imagine how many cousins and how many cousins and second cousins I have. So no, I'm not the only lawyer in my family, but in my immediate family, yes, I am.
So, okay. So now that you are established, you have your own practice. And what was the decision to leave your practice and actually go with the city?
I'll tell you the uncomplicated version. I
Okay.
just wanted to get more civil experience.
Okay.
I when I During the 8 years that I practiced, I did family law, I did criminal defense, I did probate, and I represented parents in the juvenile court who were faced with losing their parental rights, right? So I always called it the people's law, right? Because everybody needs an attorney to help them out in those areas of the law. There's not a lot of money in those areas of the law. I mean, at least the people that I was helping, they didn't have a lot of money. Um, and I wanted to get just a different experience. I was I wanted a different experience, and so I just applied to the City of Detroit Law Department, and I got the job. I mean, it was just on a whim. You know what I mean? It was just on a whim that I applied, and I got the job, and I had no civil experience whatsoever when they hired me. So I'm happy that they did hire me, because once I got there, my eyes were open to a completely different world, completely different aspect of the law. And so, I appreciate my time there at the City of Detroit Law Department, because, as you know, the City of Detroit, I mean, we're a busy city. We're a big city. We sit on, we're bordering a national border, right,
Yes,
with a major water thoroughfare. So, the city has a lot going on, right? And lawyers touch everything. So I got to see a lot and learn a lot while working at the City of Detroit Law Department, and I appreciate my experience there.
absolutely.
Hmm.
Um, Going back to, if you can remember, going back from the time we stepped foot on Osborne to your time to going on Wayne State, going to Michigan State, what was that your mindset at the time? Like, I know for us, like I stated before, at one point I thought I was going to be a computer engineer. Went through DAPSEP the whole time I was in from elementary all the way up. Got to the University of Michigan. That's why I said what I say.
I
Went to the
know.
University of Michigan, and my first semester literally was probably my 4 years of high school in one chapter. And
I understand that. I
I said,
definitely
nope,
understand that.
this ain't it. This is not it. So I had to quickly change and say, what is something else that you're passionate about? I only like computers because I knew computers was going to be a part of the future,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you started off with typewriters and things of that nature. So I knew computers was going to be a part of our future. And I was like, well, if I know how to do this, well, maybe I'll stick with this as a career. But once I got into what was required and all of that, I was like, nope, that's not it. So I had to go into what is my heart, which is kids, youth, to become a teacher. So I thought that I was going to be a teacher in the schools, but God had otherwise. It was a teacher of experience, life experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And so, um, you talking about those moments of changing, doing something different so you will feel fulfilled. Did you finally, once you did the city of Detroit and got the experience you wanted to, what was that conversation with yourself like? I want more.
Hmm. You know what? As I said, I'm not one. I think I'm different than a lot of people who, they have these goals set back when they're like 5 years old, and they know that that's what they're gonna do. And my supervisor, prior to me leaving the city of Detroit, asked me, maybe like 3 months ago. This was before I got news about my appointment to the district court. She asked me, "So where do you see yourself in 5 years?" Right? And that's the typical question. I'm
Yes.
sure everybody has asked that question or been asked that question on like an interview
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. Excuse me. And I never know what to say because I'm like, who knows? And I don't live my life like that. I just kind of like, I do what I'm supposed to do. I do the work that I'm supposed to do. And when it's time for me to move on, I will know. And I promise you, that is how everything that has come to me. Um, when I went to work for the judge that I worked for, it was, it was on a whim. It was just a fluke. Maybe it wasn't a fluke. Maybe I just thought it was a fluke, right? But it was just, I saw the opportunity, I applied for it. The judge called me down there. He said, "Can you come today?" I said, "Yeah, I can come today." I wasn't working that day, so I went down there. I sat in his courtroom. I watched what he was doing. After it was over, he called me back in his chambers, and we talked very informally. And he said, "Okay, you have the job." I didn't set out like, oh, I have to be, this family judge's law clerk. I did know that being a law clerk was a good avenue to gain experience, right? But to me, it just kind of happened. When I left working for the judge, I didn't. It wasn't something that I planned for a long time. I had my daughter. This is what happened. I had my daughter. Um, during the time that I was working for the judge. And hormones, maybe whatever. I don't know what you can attribute it to, but when I went back, I was like, I can't do this anymore, right? It was just like, okay, I went back to work. I worked for the judge for maybe like 2 or 3 more months, and then it was just like, okay, Chris, it's time to move on, right? Um and I think I just wanted to have more time to have available to my daughter. And so I said, well, I can hang my hat. I can take cases and go to court in the morning and be available for my child in the afternoon, as opposed to being, getting up at 8 o'clock, going to work at 9, being at work all the way until 5 o'clock, not seeing my daughter until 6. And so that was the motivation for me to, I'm sorry, I just dropped something. That was the motivation for me to move on to have my solo practice. I did that for 8 years. And I'll be honest with you. I told you I was going to give you the quick, the very uncomplicated reason for why I quit my practice. But what actually happened was my husband came home one day and said, I'm quitting my job. Like, I'm tired. I can't do it no more. I'm quitting my job. I'm going back to school. And I was like, oh, really? Oh, okay. Well, I guess I better get a job then, right? Like,
Right.
I guess I better get us some benefits, right? That was like the that was the reason I applied to the city of Detroit. But I did want to get experience in civil. Like, things just kind of come together for me, right? I was at the city of Detroit for 8 years. Um, I worked in different groups, right? And like I said, at the law department, you pretty much can touch anything depending on what group you work in. I had worked in different groups, and it was just like, am I getting anything else out of this? Can I learn anything else from working here? And it kind of got to a point where I felt like, I don't know if I can learn anything else. Like, I'm still enthused about my job, but I don't know that I'm going to grow much more as an attorney, right? Um, but I still had not made the decision to leave the city of Detroit Law Department. It just, the judgeship kind of fell into my lap too. So I know it sounds cliche when I say, oh, things just kind of fall into place, but that's really how my life has been. I do not sit down and make lists about what I'm going to do next year, what I'm going to be doing in 2 years, what I'm going to be doing in 3 years, and maybe that works for some people, but I just know that what what's that song say? You can plan a pretty picnic, but you can't predict the weather. Is that Outcast, right? And that's the honest to God truth. Like, you can plan things down to the T, and you know,
It
it just
doesn't mean it's gonna happen that
that
way,
does
of
not
course.
mean it's going to happen that way. And so I just always carry myself in, okay, do the best that you can do, be the best that you are, be the best that you can be in the position that you're in. And when it is time to move on, you will know. And that's just how it has, that's how my career has just kind of progressed over the years.
So with your children,
Hmm.
what has, or have you had the conversation with them about yourself? Like, the what are you taking from watching mom? Like, what are you taking um as your own career path, or whatever you want to do in life? What is that thing that you're watching me?
I haven't really had that conversation. I have a 15-year-old and an 11-year-old. And my 15-year-old is my girl. And I know she watches me. I mean, since she got here, that's, even when it was just me and her, like, her dad would be at work and it would just be me and her in our little apartment. And I look at her, she'd just be watching me, watching me, watching me, right? Just ever since she got here. And I'm reminded of that often because as a 15-year-old, teenagers are not as open as children are. But every once in a while, I'll be talking to her. Um, like, I can have a phone conversation with my friend, right? And totally not think anybody's paying attention to me, right? I'm just in here, gabbing it up. My child will 2 weeks later regurgitate everything that I said to my friend. Oh, well, you said such and such and such. That's not, the way things go because you said such and such. So I know that she watches me.
Mm-hmm.
And she's very critical, right? Like, she puts me in my place very often. Um, but as far as like career wise, I don't want to force anything on her, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to pressure her to do one thing or the other. What I have told both of my kids is, even my 11-year-old, I want you to be a happy, healthy, productive member of society, right? That can take care of yourself, right? Ultimately, I want you to be able to take care of yourself. So, however it is that you get there, I'm going to help them. I have my children involved in different activities, and if I see that they have strengths in certain areas, I'll kind of, encourage them to go that route. But as far as career wise, I am not planning a pretty picture because who knows? I thought I was going to be a physical therapist when I went to school, when I went to college. And then I took biology and chemistry and was like,
Nope. Right.
this is
This ain't
not
it.
the chemistry of Mr. Shiger. Did you have Mr. Shiger for
I
chemistry?
did.
Yeah, this is not Mr. Shiger's chemistry, right? And so I was like, well, you needed like straight A's in all those sciences to get into the physical therapy program that I was trying to get into. And I couldn't get higher than, did I get C's or B's? I know I got a C in chemistry. I may have gotten a B in biology, but it wasn't good enough to get into physical therapy. And like you said, you figure out what is required of you, and either you're going to do it or you're not going to do it. And if you don't do it, you got to figure something else out. So and I just say that to say that I know that that's the college experience, so I'm not putting anything on my daughter saying,
Yes.
oh, you need to do this or you need to do that. I'm just kind of trying to let her figure it out just like I did.
It's a balance, and it's also for them to listen to their own hearts and their own intuition.
Hmm.
It's always there. We just thought, and sometimes, unfortunately, as parents, we tend to have this high expectation that our children, either they're going to get with the plan or they're going to go total opposite of what you want.
Right.
I remember I thought I was going to be, this slash athlete plus, nerd in the books. And I thought, like I said, I was going to be a computer engineer, and it didn't come out that way. Um, am I sad about it? No, because at the end of the day, if I would have continued, I would have been just doing a job for money, but that wasn't my passion
Hmm.
at all. Um, and sometimes, as we know, um, life give us a curveball sometimes. And as an athlete, as someone who was dedicated to cheerleading, what, how did, how did your time in cheerleading prepare you for life?
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Really? I don't know. Listen, that's one I got to think on. Let me see. Well, for one, it allowed me to work with the team, right? It gave me an opportunity to lead a little bit. I was the co-captain of the cheerleading team in my 12th grade year. I
Mm-hmm.
am an optimist. I am the ever optimist. I took that, and I don't know if I took that from cheerleading or that is what took me to cheerleading, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm always like, no, come on, we can do it. Even at work, with my kids, I'm just an optimist. And like I said, I don't know if cheerleading made me like that or if that's what drew me to it, but definitely having the opportunity to work with a team. We were like family, when we were on the team. Um, Having the ability to um, just kind of bond with other people. Um, I my my best friend two. I met two of my best friends on the cheer team. I'm two of the girls that I cheered with were in my wedding, right? I was in their weddings, so being a cheerleader at Osborne High School, I got a lot out of it. I got the I got the opportunity to work with the team, but I also gained lifelong connections, right? As I'm sure you did on the basketball team.
Yes, all the teams I actually was on. I had to make sure for me that I had to keep busy. So
Hmm.
I went from one season to another.
What else
Just
did you
like,
play?
oh, let's see. I was on the swim team,
I was just about to
volleyball.
ask you that. You know, I
Yeah.
was just looking through the yearbook. I have it over here, but I'm not gonna get up and go
Oh,
get it because
Jesus.
I'm
Lord.
not gonna pull the yearbook out. But I was looking at it the other day. I look at it often. My yearbook was lost for like 10 years. No, longer. How long we been out of school? 20 years. I just found my yearbook last year. My mother found my yearbook. I don't know where the thing was, but she found it and finally called me to come over and get it. And I went over and got it. And yeah. Swim team. What else? Did you play tennis or
No, I did.
volleyball?
I did volleyball,
Yeah.
basketball, softball,
Oh my goodness.
and I ran track.
You were busy. What was the track coach's name? He used to, oh my God, he used to stalk me, not literally, but he used to try to get me to join the track team. And I was like, I don't like running.
Um,
No, I don't like
our
running.
freshman year, we broke so many records.
Hmm.
Me, Jamila, Kelly, and I forgot who the other person was. But it was an all freshman team, and we
Hmm.
went all city at Osborne. Um, the teams and in the ninth grade, really understanding and finding yourself, um, understanding that it's okay to be different.
Hmm.
I never really felt peer pressure or anything like that. To some, it was like you could tell who was outspoken. You could tell who the athletes were. You could tell who was very smart. And to this day, that is a very, to me, a very attractive attribute of being intelligent. So, um, being athletic and intelligent, that is something else. So, being able to, I want to say I think I ended up being our class treasurer, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I saw it. Like I said, I look at don't make me pull out the yearbook. Oh my
And
goodness. I will go
some
get it.
things I remember, but some I don't. Like the class treasurer and like National Honor Society, things of that nature. I remember all of that, but I remember the teams more than anything.
Hmm.
Um, and to see, like I said, to go back and to revisit to see that we made it. Like we literally made it. Osborne, especially our freshman year, 10th grade, was people were getting shot after school. I mean, things that were happening while people was waiting on the bus. All of these different things that we made it. Not only just making it or barely making it, no, we're making a name. We're a part of legacy that we are still writing right now.
That is so true. That is true. Do you remember the speech that they gave us? I can't remember how many people started out in our freshman class, but I remember them saying this is one of the largest freshman
It
classes we've
was.
ever had. And look to the left and look to the right. And when you graduate, you know, half of y'all won't be here. I remember that speech. Somebody gave that speech at like our freshman orientation or whatever. But you're right. There were we had a lot of adverse situations that occur at Osborne. But you're right, we did. We made it. And we're
Um,
still making it.
yeah, still making it.
Mhm.
We all have challenges, but it's the choices that we we continue to make every day, the decision to make. I seen Sonia was on here, who was in my class, also a cheerleader.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there was Nikki was on here, if she's still here. Not knowing that we all had our own little battles, but to read Nikki's book, to see Sonya doing her thing, to see everybody that's overcoming is an amazing story. It's an amazing journey to see us still surviving. You are in a prominent number. So, how many female judges are there right now? Do you know?
Oh man, I don't know. I can tell you. There are way more female judges on the 36th district court bench than male judges. If you give me a second, I can pull it up. I don't want to do it on the computer because I don't want to lose
Which
you.
is a statement in itself.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we're taking president, and I want people to walk away understanding that whatever you put your mind to, you can do. Don't let anyone tell you you can't. And it's not a set in stone concrete way to get to your goal, whatever that is. um I didn't think I was going to be in this type of media. I didn't. I was
Mm-hmm.
on a journalism team, but I didn't think that it was going to be this way.
Okay.
Had no clue, no idea. But what happened was the pandemic got me to think, I want to talk to all these people, make sure they okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the time when we were locked down, unfortunately for me, I still had to work. I was frontline out delivering mail.
Okay.
Um, I wanted to make sure my people was okay mentally and physically. And so I began to reach out to people I knew on Facebook. I was having conversations with them, and people was like, "Man, I didn't know this about them. I didn't know this. I didn't know that. You should do it more often." It became a thing. And then I had somebody who had an internet radio station like, "You ever thought about podcasting?" I'm like, "No, what is that?" And from there, it went from my Facebook Live to podcasting to next goal is studio, TV, whatever, because we have to get back into caring for one another.
That is true.
And you being a judge, what? Okay, so let me go back to the emotional part about it. Darnell put in here that family court is very emotional.
Yes, it is.
So, what is it, or what is your outlet to not bring this home? Because sometimes we do that in our jobs, that we can't decipher between this is my job and this is actually me.
Okay. So let me just say this. I'm 36th district court doesn't handle family matters, right? Just for clarification, 36 doesn't handle family matters. Family matters are held at the circuit court. I'm in the district court, but I did clerk for a family court judge in the circuit court. How did I not bring that stuff home? Oh my goodness. You just have to make a decision. You just have to make a conscious decision to not bring it home. And sometimes you can't. Sometimes you can't not bring it home. Um when I when I when I had my own practice, like I said, I did family law and I also worked in the juvenile court. I'm sorry, my can you hear that? My son is coughing his
Oh no, I
brains
can't hear
out
that.
in here. I might have to pause and go see if he's okay. Um Sorry. But I worked, i- as I stated, representing parents who were faced with neglect proceedings, right? And I saw some terrible stuff. I mean, some absolute terrible things. Um, and sometimes you do bring it home. And that's why, some people do get out of the practice of law because it is hard to not bring some things home, right? Family was not the worst. when it came to emotions. Probate is the worst, in my opinion, when it comes to emotions, because probate law is the law of transferring assets when your loved one has passed away. And just from what I've seen, people, in my opinion, they attach whatever emotions or unresolved issues they had with the person who is no longer here. They attach that to whatever property or money, or I mean, it could be a couch, it could be something so minuscule, right? But to me, it's like they've transferred those emotions to those physical possessions, and they want to fight somebody because they're grieving, right? And they don't really have anyone to fight, so who do they start fighting? The people closest to them over something that is not even worth anything. Now, sometimes, there's a lot of money involved in probate, but to me, family was emotional, but probate law was highly emotional, because you would see families just kind of tear themselves apart over somebody else's property, right? Um, and how I deal with it is I just try to learn from it, and just see, okay, this is what can happen if you let your emotions get the best of you in probate, in family situations, in any situation that would lead to you going to court. And I just kind of always have that in the back of my mind, like, okay, I don't want to be in anybody's court. I don't want to be in front of anybody's judge, right? So let me just always keep that in the back of my mind when I am dealing with things that involve my emotions and my family, So I just try to learn from it, and just try to always just being cognizant of how bad things can get, and just keep that in the back of my mind, and try not to allow things to get that bad, right? But as far as like the how to not be affected by the family law, I just had to start telling people, like, look, don't call me about this. I had a client, and he wasn't the best person, when it came to how he was treating his soon to be ex-wife. He wasn't. But he hired me to represent him, and I represented him, right? Um, but he and his wife were just going at it about just the craziest stuff. And again, it's those emotions. Those emotions are unraveling, and people just start harping on things that are not important, right? And so one time, I was representing him, and there was another attorney who was representing his wife. And I think she was related to the wife, but she called me one day and she said, "Attorney Kennedy, um, your client is letting his girlfriend do the little girl's hair. We need to come to a resolution about that, because he should not be letting the girlfriend do his hair, do the baby's hair." And I was just like, look, don't call me about this. Like, this is not anything that should go before a judge, right? Like, we don't need to file a motion to go argue before a judge about whether the girlfriend is doing the baby's hair, because the baby's hair has to get done, right? Um, and I think when I said that, she kind of, now this was the attorney. This was not the soon to be
Client,
ex-wife. This was
yes.
the attorney, and
Mhm.
she was just so emotionally charged. And I'm like, why are you so emotionally invested in this? This is not even you. Like, this is your client. But like I said, I think they were related. And I said, I will talk to you about property, the distribution of property, spousal support, parenting time, custody, taxes, all of that. But I am not about to argue with you about whether this man's girlfriend does the baby's hair. That's just, I can't do it. And that's where I drew the line. Now, some attorneys, I don't know. I don't know if other attorneys feel like that's something that they would have, gone to war about, but I just couldn't do it. I just drew the line. And sometimes you just have to.
That is good.
Yeah.
And sometimes I often talk, especially with professionals, that we have to understand you have to have a balanced life.
Mm-hmm.
And so, with that being said, what does balance look like for you?
Ma'am, I don't have any balance. I mean, I'm trying to get balance. I want to make sure my kids have home cooked meals. Um, I want to be there when somebody's performing or somebody is doing something and they look out into the audience and they need to see somebody, cheering them on. I'm going to be there, right? Or I'm going to try my hardest to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have my parents are getting older, you know. I need to be there when my mother or my father is in the hospital or needs to go to the doctor for a procedure. And I make sure that I am. I mean, I just it has all worked out for me up to this point. I've had when I was at the city, I had very understanding supervisors. If I had to go and pick my children up from school, if I had to leave a little early, okay, well, as long as you make up that time, as long as you get your work done, I didn't have anybody over my back, breathing down my neck about um punching the clock, right? It was just about, did the work get done? And I did my work. I represented my clients, right? To the fullest extent. So I've not really had issues with being where I'm supposed to be when I'm supposed to be there. But as far as balance, listen, my Sundays, I still haven't figured out how to just have a relaxing Sunday, right? Because I get up. Now my late grandmother told me, she told me how to do this, but I haven't really been following her guidelines, right? She always told me, don't go shopping on the same day you cook, right? You go grocery shopping on a Friday or a Saturday or some day during the week, and then you cook the next day. But for me, I'm always getting up and trying. I always find myself trying to do everything on Sunday, right? I get up. I want to go to the mall. I got to go grocery shopping. I want to cook. I got to wash. Like I have to. I'm still trying to figure out how to get that balance because um my weekends are very tiring, right? They're not relaxing, but I think that's my fault. That's not anything that has to do with um my career. It's just me waiting to the last minute to go grocery shopping and cook and go to the mall and clean up. Yeah. So yeah, I do have balance when it comes to, like I said, being there for my kids, being there for my parents, being there for my husband. But as far as being able to relax on Sunday, I'm still trying to figure that one out.
Okay, so another thing that I do ask, and I know we're a little over the hour, but um, what is something that people would be surprised to know about you?
Hmm. I don't know. I put all my business out there on Facebook. Let me see. What is something people would be surprised to know about me? Um, that is tough. Like as far as what?
You know how like some people have like a quirkiness or something, like they don't like peas, or um, just something that people wouldn't either expect, or again they'll be surprised to know about you that they had no idea.
That's a tough one, Sunshine. That is a tough one. I make body butter. Like I make body products, right? I
Okay.
don't know if that's surprising because I talk about it a lot. What else? I take piano lessons. Um, I don't know if that's shocking. What else? I just learned how to swim in my 40s.
Wow. Okay.
And so I just started I took swimming lessons at the beginning of this year, which is funny because I have my kids swimming. They're actually on swim teams, and I would give them pointers and stuff like, "Oh, you need to do this, you need to do that." And my daughter would be like, "You don't even know how to swim."
Yeah, right.
Right. And so I finally can say, "Yes, I do. I do know how to swim. I know it's hard. Swimming is hard." So my
Only
hats off to you for being on the swim team.
I well, I have been swimming even to this day since I was little.
Hmm.
My dad made sure. I'm looking back thinking that my dad tried to take out any excuse and any fear.
Okay.
He had us even on roller coasters early.
Okay.
So I didn't have, to this extreme of, well, he did scare me in a horror movie, so I don't do scary movies to this day.
Neither do I. I do not
So,
watch any kind of scary movies. I don't
um,
mess around.
but as far as the sports and things of that nature, he had us doing it early, wrestling, all of that. I was one of the biggest tomboys on my block.
Okay.
I can hang with the big kids, as they say. And so I had to make sure, with me being the first, I had to make sure that my brother and my sister who were under me was protected when my mom and them wasn't around.
Hmm.
So those those were the moments of um, putting life experiences um, in places that we we think is second nature, but it's really survival. So swimming this summer, I jumped off a 15-foot cliff.
I saw that. I remember that. You and your husband did it, didn't you? Whew. Too much for me, girl. I got butterflies just looking at that. I got butterflies just watching it.
It took a moment. You guys saw the second uh tape. The first one was like, wait, count to how many? You want me to do what? And the guy had to really tell me, like, you got to see yourself beyond where you are now. Don't think, just jump. Because the more you sat there or stood there and thought it out, you were going to talk yourself out of it. And so he said, don't stop, don't hold on to nothing, just jump, free
Whew.
yourself. And halfway down, I was like, why haven't we touched the water yet? What in the world? But I'm so competitive with myself that because I hesitated the first time, I did it
Uh-huh.
twice.
Okay.
And the second time, it was no hesitation. I just jumped. And so I was like, well, I could take this pin it here that I did something that most people would never do. So,
Congrats to you on that because listen, that hesitation that you had jumping off of that cliff, I had that hesitation jumping into the deep end during my swimming lessons. Okay. It took me several days to do it. And you're right. When you think about it, it's the thinking that stops you,
yes.
right? I got up there and I looked and I just started thinking about, other situations and what if and what had
Mhm.
happened last time I jumped into some water, and I had to step down. I told the instructor I'll do it next week. And I did. I did it next week, but I punked out. I was the only person in the class who didn't jump into the deep end during that lesson. But I wasn't mad at myself, you gotta,
No,
yeah.
it's just sometimes we know ourselves
Hmm.
and we can't allow anybody to make us go faster or push
Right.
us when we're not ready. At the end of the day, um, this conversation, I'm sure you're more relaxed than you was when you first got on.
I
Because
know,
again,
I was
your
so comfortable.
minds begin to wonder the unknown. And just to let people know, I don't give questions ahead of time because I want the conversation to be really genuine. If I give it to you early, you already practicing what you think I'm going to say. And so that's not how conversations go.
And
Um,
I tried for
I
the
know you
audience. I
did.
did try to get the questions because I Preparation, preparation, preparation. That's my
Mm-mm.
motto.
I get it, but when you're getting to know someone, you don't do that in regular conversation.
You're right. You are absolutely correct.
So I want everybody to understand and to celebrate this wonderful woman. It has been 20 something years that I have not seen her in person.
No, no, I gotta correct you.
When?
I saw you at the reunion.
Oh
You
yeah,
were
that's
at the
right. So
reunion.
that was what, 10 years ago?
Was it 10 years ago? No, it was our 20th reunion. And that was, it seems like it was yesterday, but I guess, shoot, this is 2022. When did we have our 20th? 2016? That was a while ago. Wow.
Now,
Time is flying. That was 6 years ago.
so again, it was a while ago that I've not seen her in person, but I thank for having social media, for all those who are doing it the positive way, not putting out negative things, and that's how I saw her accomplishment. So we give flowers here. We connections. Now I personally know a judge. Um, and also now you know a judge. So again, this is no small thing, especially with being black, being a female, being from Detroit, and from Detroit Public Schools is not easy, but she just showed you that it can be done. So um, tonight, again, I appreciate you for taking the call. So many things is constantly happening when we get out of our way, when we get out of ourselves, and we continue to open up ourselves to the possibilities of the possibilities. The impossible is not a thing to me. The impossible is not a thing to Christina. If she's sitting here saying, I just learned how to swim, when most people are just afraid of water. Not only did she tell you she learned how to swim, she went into the deep end in her own timing.
In my own time, yes.
In her own time. Um, Congratulations to graduating college twice over,
Thank
and
you.
and all your accomplishments of being the judge, the wife, the daughter, the mother, and sister.
Yes, I'm one of four. I'm a sister too. Yes.
So, and all those wonderful things and titles that she have, we salute you in everything that you continue to do. I will continue to follow you. I will continue to promote you, because we can't make it in this world without each other. You are still part of the village, and the village is still raising us. So again, thank you for taking the time out tonight. So is there something dying on your heart that you would like to say to the people before we get off?
No, I just want to thank you for having me. I think I was supposed to go live. I don't know if I if I did
I
that.
think you probably can share the link. They'll see it.
Okay. Okay. I no, thank you. It's been a true pleasure. I hope I didn't talk your head off because once I get going, I can go. you
Not
know,
at all.
I just
Not
got to
at
warm
all.
up. You just got to get me warmed up. And once you get me warmed up, I'm gone. Okay. So yeah, it's been really nice to sit here and talk to you for the past hour and some change. And I'm excited to start this new role, this new position as a judge at 36th District Court, which is one of the busiest courts in America. Um, and I am very new, like very new. I'm still training, but I will be handling a docket as of Monday. And so I hope not to see anybody. I hope not to see you
Right.
come through there.
Exactly. Please. Like, can I
Yeah.
have another judge, please? How about I don't want to be here at all? How about that?
I know, but it's actually it's not as unpleasant as some people think. From what I've seen, especially with Zoom, it's been really efficient. What I have noticed, the hearings are being handled very efficiently. So
Good.
yes,
So much success to Judge Christina Kennedy, and everything she do. Again, if there's any updates, anything that you need from me, again promoting you, um, I will do my best to continue to be the light, the connector that I am in this world. So the world will know that we have a judge in our city who's going to serve the people and be righteous in her judging. So again, thank you, thank you, thank you. I will send you the link, and again, you can share it to your page and to your people. Again, I believe in 6 degrees of separation. You're literally one person away, one advice away, and one help away from where you need to be in your destiny. It's been proven over and over again. And again, if you want to donate to the show, it is the Cash App Sunshine. I mean, $ Sunshine Camila. How you really spell my name? However, it has been a good show, and I will see you guys on next Tuesday because I am taking a day off on Thursday, and then
and
I
you
will have some
deserve
more.
it. You deserve it.
Listen, oh my gosh, with the new book out, let me put that up here too. That was just released. The new book is out.
Oh.
This would be the second week of the showcase with the emerging leaders. Um, I have so many things going on right now. But again, the village is so important that everything that we do, we're all connected. So we want to continue to put positive energy out into the world. Keep your eyes on everyone, and keep your baby safe.
Thank
So
you.
again, I will talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you so much for having me.
You welcome.
I enjoyed it.
I did too.
All right, have a good night.
You too. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.